and welcome
to Sort of the Story.
Wow, I'm Janey.
And I'm Max. Wow.
And wow, and this is, wow, Owen Wilson. And also, you are here, Owen Wilson.
And I'm Luke Wilson.
Wow. Stupidest intro we've done, which is hard. It's hard to match some of the other stupid fucking intros.
This is the podcast where we tell each other stories. Each week we go and find a story and then we tell it to each other on here, the podcast that you're listening to.
60 times, maybe. You might have been listening 60 times.
That's a lot of episodes. This is episode 60, the 60th episode.
This is the 60th one. Anyway, and if this is your first episode, welcome. This isn't for children. If you saw storytelling podcast, that's fun. It's not for children. It's fun.
It's not fun.
It's not fun.
We're all here to have a bad time.
Wow, can confirm. Cool. Well, Max, we're recording 2 days in a row to catch up for my Thanksgiving break. Do you want to just get started?
Not really, but...
Oh, no.
No, I'm just kidding. Let's do it. I'm going first this week.
Max started a new notebook today, episode 60. Do you start one every 10 episodes now?
No. This is the 4th notebook total. They're varying lengths. They're not like a notebook set or anything like that. They're just notebooks that I have because I'm the kind of person that people get notebooks for.
You are.
So I just have a bunch of empty notebooks. So I've just been going through them. This notebook I got for myself last year.
Beautiful.
It's by Hookie Duke. Also Eric Williams. They're on Instagram and everything. They're an amazing artist. They do really cool stuff. Just really, really cool art style. It's got chrysanthemums on the cover and a chrysanthemum with an eyeball in it on the back. And also it's like dot grid instead of lines, which I actually prefer. So,
really?
Yeah, because I do indent paragraphing. So like I have like subsections are like further in and everything, kind of like you would do with like bullet points.
Yeah.
And so having the dot matrix grid makes it easier for me to keep things in a straight line, which is nice.
Okay. Well, that's a hot tip for if you guys have a brain like Max. I look at that and I get stressed out. I like drawing the bullet points myself. That's because I'm a creative soul.
You're one of those rainbow gel pen girls, aren't you?
100%. 100%. I had to stop myself from getting you a stocking stuffer that was a bunch of colorful little pens that have little stamp things on the back of it so you could underline with hearts. And I was like, that seems like more of a Janey gift.
That is more of a Janey gift.
That's a Janey gift that I would be burdening Max with.
I mean, I would love it.
But you would never use them. And then I would borrow them. Like, I know me.
Yeah.
I might get them from my brother.
Oh.
Junior would use them, I think.
I got an eyeliner pen that is like a regular pen on one side, and then the other side is an eyeliner stamp of I have a little black star stamp and a little red heart stamp. And I've never used them, but every time I see them, I'm like, nice.
Time to get some
pretty
freckles.
Cool.
Okay, well, and that was the riveting content. If you want more of it, go to our Instagram where you can see pictures, and there's not this content.
We're on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok, and also we have a bookshop.org affiliate page where we have all of our resources, books that we've referenced in the podcast.
And we have really good books today that I think you should, if you're going to get gifts this year, both of the books that we're using today I think are really good gifts to give. So they're going to be up on our bookshop.
Yes, absolutely. And you can also, we have a website, sortofthestory.com. We have a link tree, which is linked on all of our socials.
And the website is also, has all of our socials and everywhere you need to find us. And our Discord, which is hopping. Get on that Discord. Get on, introduce yourself, say hi, and then like ask us literally anything, and we'll probably answer it.
I shared a beef stew recipe, so... If you're looking for beef stew recipes, that's the place to go.
And
come to our Discord.
The Discord are the only people that have gotten pictures of my brand new beautiful microphone. So, you know what? You're missing out if you're not on the Discord.
Yeah, come hang out with us.
It's free. And it's literally just a chat room where you get to hang out with me and Max.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you. Anyway, let's just get started.
Yeah, I think I'm starting this week.
Okay.
All right, Janey.
Okay, Max.
The story that I brought for you today is actually a story that you gave me in this book that you gave me, Fairies, Elves, and Goblins, The Old Stories by Rosalind Curvin, which Janey gave me for my birthday.
It's shiny and
it's real
beautiful.
Shiny. And it has some really good illustrations on the cover that have really good faces. And I think you know what I mean by like really good faces.
Almost like, they're like whimsical. They kind of remind me of medieval illustrations. You know how the faces were just always a little bit just shapes, like fucked up shapes?
Like the marginalia in the illuminated manuscripts. That's a word that I love. Marginalia.
I like manuscript.
So that's where I got our story for today. This story is called The Magic Ointment.
Okay, let's hear about some Vagisil. Can I tell my story real quick about my evil bird?
Okay, fine.
Okay, I have to say it really quickly because you said the word ointment and I have PTSD.
PTSD.
Oh my god, I do. So we had this terrible bird named Petey, and I'm not going to go into how we got him, but he was the literal devil, and he came to us via tricks. And one day I'll tell the whole story, but I'm not ready. But he would talk. And he talked before we got him. Like, he learned, I guess he just watched a bunch of TV by himself for, like, years and years.
It's also how I learned to talk.
Yeah, just watch. That sound is going to be so confusing to people.
I'm so sorry. That I was moving the ribbon in my journal.
Yeah, and it was sexy. It sounded like you were taking off an article of clothing.
I thought it sounded like a dusty fart.
Like I said, sexy. No, so Petey... We didn't know exactly all that he knew, and he would reveal what he knew how to say at really inconvenient times. Like, to the point where we thought he was doing it on purpose. Like, we learned that he knew the word asshole when my priest came to dinner. But we didn't know he could curse before that, and we were like, sorry, Father. We didn't do that. Shit. I mean, damn. Nation. So... That's Petey, but one day I had a boy who I had a huge crush on in my class, and for the life of me, I can't remember his name now, but I remember him being very cute, and he lived down the street from me, and one day he goes, hey, I'm having a hard time on this assignment. Do you think maybe you could tutor me? And I was like, everyone knows that there's never been an instance where a teenager tutored another teenager. It's always code for, can we make out later? Mm-hmm. Like, there's never like a, hey, can I come to your class so you can tutor me? That's not a thing! Okay? It's always a ruse. And I knew it. I was on the up and up, and no one had ever asked me before. And I was like, hell yeah. So I invited him over. I told my mom, I'm going to tutor this kid. And my mom was like, really? You're an idiot. No, she didn't say that. But she might as well have. She thought it. She was right. And so we sat at my kitchen table, and my bird was in the kitchen, like kind of next to us, and he had been quiet since the guy got there, which I thought was suspicious because, you know, he would yell a lot, scream, and he was rude as hell. And now we knew he could curse, so every once in a while he'd throw in a curse word. And so, but he had been really quiet and had just been watching us for like 30 minutes while we got comfy, while I pretended that I was starting the tutoring process, while he got closer, while our feet touched under the table. And I was like, oh my goodness, like what? While he like leaned across, like he sat right next to me eventually and like, you know, moved to the seats. And then he like leaned in and I was like, oh my God, he's gonna kiss me. Oh my God, it's happening. Like my little teenage heart was just fluttering. And as we get closer, he says something like, I just think you're really cool and smart. And I was like, thank you. Thank you so much. And we get really close. And then my fucking bird in the corner audibly clears his throat. He goes, Vagisil. That's the only thing he said. Just clear as day. Also, he had a demon voice. When he would say stuff, he'd be like, pumpkin seed. Like, he had a demon bird voice. He said this in the clearest voice. Vagisil. Like, he was, like, it wasn't even his voice. And this guy stops and he like leans back and he looks at me, he looks at the bird and he goes, did your bird just say Vagisil? And I was like, no. No, he didn't. Also, Vagisil is a vagina itch cream, which we have never had in my house for, you know, from what I know about it. We'd never had that in the house. It wasn't a thing that I'd ever said out loud to the bird. But like the way that he looked at me was like, how often are you guys talking about Vagisil? That the bird knows it. And I was like, he's not our bird. And he's like, he's not your bird? And I was like, well, he's our bird, but he didn't grow up with us.
He's not my brother.
Anyway, and then nothing happened. He went home really shortly after that, and I cried to my mom for like an hour about how much I hate the bird. Anyway, the magic ointment. Go ahead.
The magic ointment is Vagisil. It's not.
Vagisil. Why'd he clear his throat? He interrupted.
Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Excuse me. Vagisil.
I have an announcement to make. She got itchy vagina. No, she doesn't.
Whoo. All right. So the magic ointment. There was once this couple, Betty and Tom, and they were a little bit older. They had like too many kids, you know, like just so many kids. And you would think that that would mean that they were like a big part of their town's community and everything like that. But just the opposite. People were like, this couple, Betty and Tom, they are weird and unpleasant.
They can't stop fucking.
Don't trust them. So they avoid this family at all costs. They say that like there are like strange perfumed smells that come out of their house.
Oh.
Strangers leave their house in like strange clothing.
Are they sure that's not just one of their many children?
Hard to say.
Okay.
They're like, we didn't see those people go in, but we saw them come out and stuff like that. Like, it's just like weird stuff. And they're like, we just don't trust them.
Yeah.
So everyone kind of avoids Betty and Tom and their family, except for one woman named Old Joan. She was a widow and she had no children. So she was herself a little bit of like an outcast from society. And she understood that, like, you know, your kids don't define who you are. So she was much more willing to like open her heart to this couple that everyone else had kind of written off.
Yeah.
And it didn't hurt that Betty was the only person in town who would come and visit Old Joan at her house, just like keep her company sometimes.
That's so
and
nice.
Yeah, it was really sweet. So Old Joan and Betty are, you know, the closest thing each other has to have to friends sometimes. One day, Joan went to go visit Betty on her way to the market, and she stopped by Betty's house, and as she walked up, the house was weirdly quiet. Like, usually it's full of, like, kids banging around and everything. But she was like, the kids must be at school or something, because it's, like, really quiet. And then she remembers the rumors about strange things happening in the house, and her curiosity gets the better of her. So she sneaks up to the house, and she peeks in through the peephole, or the keyhole in the front door, right? She looks in, and she sees the long, like, entry hallway of the house. And as she's watching, she sees Tom and Betty come into the hallway from elsewhere in the house, and they're talking together, and they're laughing. And then Betty produces a very small pot from somewhere, and she opens it, and she dips her fingers in it, and a green ointment comes out of the pot on her fingers, and then she rubs her fingers across Tom's eyes, and then she closes the pot up, and they go their separate ways in the house. And Old Joan is watching this, and she's like, what the
He's
hell?
got itchy eyes. Like, leave him alone.
Yeah, so she just puts the ointment, like, around his eyes, basically. And Old Joan is like, that was weird.
Was it? Maybe he's trying to get rid of fine lines and wrinkles, Joan. Maybe you stop fucking judging.
Maybe it's just a retinol complex.
Yeah,
Joan. You heard of it?
All right, you ever notice Tom doesn't have bags under his eyes? He looks fresh as a fucking daisy. Thank you, retinol.
So Tom and Betty go their separate ways inside of the house, and Joan kind of like is like, oh, that was weird. She takes a step back. She like walks back up the entryway, like back up the walk towards their house, walks a little ways back, and then walks back up to their house as though she's arriving for the first time, and knocks on the door and is like, hello, it's me, Joan. I just got here.
It's my first time being here today, for sure.
And Betty opens the door. Tom isn't anywhere that Joan sees, but Betty opens the door and says hi to Joan and everything. And Joan is like, hey, I just wanted to stop by. I'm on my way into town to the market to run some errands, and I wanted to see if you needed anything while I was in town. And Betty is like, oh, that's so nice of you to think of us. And I think we're all good for right now, but you know, it's a long walk into town. Why don't you stop and have a cup of tea with me? And Joan is like, yeah, of course, I'd love to. So Joan comes in and sits down in the parlor.
Sure.
I'm having a really hard time with words today.
Yeah, of like houses.
She comes in, she sits down in the parlor, and Betty gets her all settled, and then she's like, I'll be right back. I'm just going to put the kettle on. Betty goes and puts the kettle on in the other room. So Joan is alone in this room. She looks around. She doesn't see Tom anywhere. But as she's looking, she sees that on a shelf right next to her is the tiny little pot of ointment. And she looks around. She looks like nobody's looking in the windows. Betty is like whistling in the kitchen, so she can't, like, she knows that she can't see her and everything like that. Yeah. And again, her curiosity gets the better of her. She opens up this little tub of ointment, and the green ointment is inside. She takes her fingers and takes a little scoop of ointment, and she puts it on her right eye. And then she closes up the pot really quickly and sits back down right where she was and, like, puts on, like, a smile, like, oh, I wasn't doing anything.
Old Joan wants to look like young Joan.
But only on the right side.
Yeah, just on the right eye.
So she's sitting down, and she's trying very hard not to look suspicious. And her right eye, where she put the ointment around it, starts, like, burning.
Oh no!
And she's like,
That's why you always do a spot test.
She's like, I might have made a mistake. So her right eye is like burning and itching, and it's like a weird pain, and she is like trying not to rub her eye, but she's like winking furiously.
Max is making a really good face right
now. She's like winking, and her eye is hurting, and then the pain starts to subside, and she's able to open her eye all the way again. And as she looks around the room, something has changed.
Okay.
She looks around the room and she sees that while she thought she was alone in the room, in fact, there are crowds and crowds of little fairies all over the floor.
Aww.
And they are dancing, and they are riding mice in and out of the little mouse holes in the walls, and they're like dangling from spider webs and everything like that.
That's cute.
And they're all wearing like red and green, very like old-fashioned clothes, lots of velvet and everything like that. And they are like, they have like a little town in this room, basically. And suddenly she can see all of these creatures in the room with her. The story calls them Spriggans.
Spriggans.
Which is like it's like a sprite. It's like a woodland fairy figure. If you've played Skyrim, Spriggans are like closer to the Norwegian Leshy, where they're like tree people come to life. These are just like little fairies, like what you picture for like a little pixie.
Yeah.
So she looks around, she sees all of these Spriggans who don't seem to notice her. They're just kind of like running around. They're like running over her feet and everything. And she like can't feel anything, but she's looking around this room and she's like, what the fuck is happening? She takes her hand and she covers her right eye, and she looks around with only her left eye, and the room is empty again.
Yeah.
And then she removes her hand from over her right eye and looks around, and there the Spriggans are. So she's like, okay, so I can only see them with my right eye where I used the ointment.
Yeah.
I appreciate her use of the scientific method.
Yeah, that was nice.
Let's
but
eliminate
also, don't test stuff on your own skin.
Yeah, that was a bad call.
Yeah.
But also being like, let's just make sure that the ointment is the thing, you know? Very, very scientific of her. So she's like, all right, well, I guess this ointment gives you fairy vision or something. And as she's trying to figure out what has happened to her eye, Betty returns with the teapot. And Joan tries very hard to look normal and not suspicious.
Yeah, but she has green smudged all under her eye.
She feels the impulse to be like, Betty, oh no, I used this. And then she's like, no, I don't want to tell her. Like, this could be bad for me. Especially because she's like, okay, Tom put this on his eyes, which means he can see this, which means probably Betty can see this. So she probably knows about this already. Yeah. And she's gonna, like, she's someone who is with the fairies. And if I, like, reveal this, then I might be in trouble. And so she's a little bit frightened. She's a little bit cautious.
Yeah.
And she notices as Betty comes back in with the teapot, when she saw her before, she was wearing kind of like a threadbare, tattered dress. But now Betty can see with her right eye that she's actually wearing just this like beautifully tailored gown in like the highest of fashion.
Aww.
Super fine quality and everything. But she could only see it when she looks through her right eye. Betty pours the tea and they sit down. They have their pleasant small talk. Joan is on edge because she is watching these little Spriggans run around the room and everything. And they're like climbing all over Betty. And a little parade of them comes in from outside with flowers from the garden and lays all the flowers down on Betty's lap.
But if they're holding it, you can't see it? Because they're like real flowers. Okay, sorry. No science. Got it. Go ahead.
I'm not a doctor. I don't know these things. And so she's trying very hard not to acknowledge all of the crazy shit that's happening in her peripheral vision.
Yeah.
But, you know, they have their small talk, and eventually Joan is like, I can't keep this up anymore. So she's like, I'm going to head out. Actually, I want to make sure I get to the market before it gets dark.
Before it closes.
Yeah. And Betty's like, oh, of course, let me walk you out. She walks her to the door, and all the Spriggans follow Betty and everything. And Joan, like, is getting, like, very warm and anxious, and she's like, okay, bye. I have to go get some fresh air. Okay, bye. She goes out the front door, and she walks up this, like, front walkway towards the house, back out towards the market. And she's like, oh my God, like fresh air. I can breathe again. Thank God. I honestly didn't think I was going to get out of there alive and everything.
Yeah.
And then as she starts walking, she's like, I feel like she's like starting to doubt herself. She's like, did I really see all of that? Like, was that real or was it just like really hot in that house? And I was like hallucinating. And so
or maybe I'm allergic to something in the ointment.
So she walks back to the house and she puts her right eye up against the keyhole in the door again and looks inside. And she sees that in the front hallway a long, beautiful banquet table has been laid out with all kinds of splendid foods. And all of the Spriggans are all over the table, like crawling around, putting garnishes on the food and everything, preparing for a beautiful feast. And she sees that with her right eye, and then she closes her right eye and she looks in with her left eye, and she sees an empty hallway. Once again, just dusty, empty hallway. And she's like, okay, so that was real. Cool. Now I can go to the market. So she turns around and she heads towards the market. It takes her a long time to get downtown because she keeps getting distracted as she's walking by all of these sprites and fairies and things running around like the woods and across the road and everything. Like she walks past the cliffs that overlook the ocean, and she can hear in the distance mermaids singing out in the ocean. And she's like trying very, very hard to ignore it.
Oh my God,
she's like, everything
magical.
is normal and I can't hear anything. Everything is fine and I'm not worried at all. So she walks all the way down to the market, and she gets there. She does all of her errands, and by the time she's done, it's fall, and so it gets dark pretty early. So she finishes up just as dusk begins to fall. And she's getting ready to leave the market with her basket full of goods when she sees Tom. Tom is in the market, and he is running back and forth between the market stalls, and he's picking up one thing from like different stalls and everything and putting them in a bag and everything. He's just being very suspicious.
Is he stealing?
Yeah, and basically he's just like taking things and stealing them. And she's like, Tom, well, what the hell? And so she's watching him do this, and she is so disappointed because everyone's been like, you shouldn't hang out with those people.
Yeah.
Like, they're grifters, they're suspicious and everything. And she has stood up for them all this time, and then she finds out that Tom actually has been stealing.
Yeah.
And so she stomps up to him and she says, fancy thieving like that. You should be utterly ashamed of yourself. And kind of like scolds Tom.
Yeah.
And Tom turns around with his bright, dark eyes that he always has a mischievous twinkle in. He turns around to her and he says, so, it's you, Joan. But I wonder, which eye did you see me with?
Hi.
And Joan realizes that she could see Tom flitting around the market stealing things, but none of the like stall owners.
Oh my God, this is just your
him.
game. When you're in stealth mode, you just walk up and
Yeah. She's like, nobody else is reacting to him. Nobody else can see him. And he says, so which eye did you see me with? And she is like, well, I'm not going to tell you. But then also her eye is really itchy, so she kind of like absentmindedly itches her right eye. And he's like, oh, okay. So that one.
Oh no.
And he points his finger with a sinister look in his eye. He points at Joan, and he says, you cursed old spy, no more peep or pry with that charmed eye. And he blows a sharp gust of wind in her right eye, and in a few moments, he disappears from her view. Her vision starts to cloud over in her right eye. She watches him fade, and then she watches everything else fade as well.
Oh no.
And she goes completely blind in her right eye.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. She is panicking because he's gone now, and she can't see out of her eye. And so she's screaming, and she goes, quickly, catch that man. He's a thief, and he's just attacked me. And everyone is like, they watch her do this, and what they see is an old woman holding her head and screaming about a man that they can't see.
Oh no!
And so they say, be quiet, you drunk old bag.
It's rude.
Yep. So,
That's not funny.
Eventually, Joan heads back towards her house, which is very difficult because she's now half blind, and she was half blind for the rest of her life. And on that day, she had lost her only friends in the whole town.
Oh, I wanted Betty to go and be like, real sorry about that. You shouldn't have been meddling. Wait, that's how it ends?
Yeah.
Okay, no, but that's not how it ends, because after that, Betty comes to her house and just shakes her head and is like, old Joan, you meddling fool. And then they have teeth, and they're just friends.
Teeth?
They have some teeth. It's horrific.
Yeah, I would like it if they were friends also, but also the first time I read this, I thought that she went completely blind, and I was like, oh, fuck.
But no, it's just half blind.
There are a couple of tales, especially in the British Isles, and in that area of, like, Western Europe, where this is a theme, the idea of magic ointment that lets you see fairies.
Yeah.
Right? This is something that recurs across various different stories and everything. There are a couple of different versions of this story. The story that I just told is Cornish in origin, but there's a Welsh version of the story where a woman, like a childless widow, finds a baby on her doorstep tucked into a little crib, and he has a little pot of ointment and a written set of directions that says, like, you need to take care of this baby, and every day you have to put this ointment in his eyes. But you have to be careful. You have to wear gloves when you put it on, and you have to be careful not to touch the ointment, right?
Okay.
And so she brings this baby in, and every day she puts the ointment on his eyes and takes care of him, and he grows into a beautiful little boy. And every day with him, she is incredibly lucky. Like, all of these amazing things happen to her, and she receives all of these mysterious gifts and everything like that.
And, like, renewal on her ointment prescription.
Yeah. But when he's a couple years old, one day she has allergies and she's not paying attention, and she puts the ointment in his eyes with her gloves and then itches her eye with the glove without thinking. And when she looks at him again after having rubbed this ointment in her eyes, she sees that he is a fairy boy.
Aww.
And he sees her seeing him as a fairy boy and begins to fade. And by the next day... By the next day, he has left completely.
That's her baby!
He's completely gone, along with all of the gifts and all of the good luck that he brought with him.
That's sad.
So that's the version from Wales. There's also a version from Lancashire, where a woman's daughter gets an eye infection, and an ancient wise person sends her to the spring of fairies and says, like, get water from the spring of fairies, put it in your daughter's eyes, and the infection will clear up. So the mother and daughter go to the spring of fairies, and she's preparing to sprinkle this water in her eyes when a strange man jumps out from behind a tree and is like...
Sinister.
Yeah, and is like, hey, I see your daughter's got an eye infection. That'll help, but it won't fix it. I have here an ointment, and it's a green ointment that smells like honeysuckle.
Ooh.
And he says, I have an ointment here that will fix this permanently and for good. And so he gives it to her, and he says, but it's only for her. You can't, this is specifically for her.
For other eye infections, yeah.
And so she puts it on her daughter's eyes, and her daughter's eye infection clears up, and she can see better than ever and everything. They go back home, and everything is totally fine, except one night the mother is up late sewing by candlelight, and her eyes are sore from the strain of sewing by candlelight. And she's like, well, we have this, like, eye balm.
Yeah.
So she puts some in her eyes, and it immediately fixes her vision. But the next day she goes into the market and she sees the man from the woods and is like, oh, hello. And he's like, oh, you can see me? So you use the ointment then. And he curses her to blindness forever as well. Full blindness in that story.
That's just unfair.
So there are a couple different iterations of this, but the idea of, like, the ointment that you put in your eyes to see fairies is just really cool to me.
That is really cool.
It's really weird and specific, and I'm really into it.
I really enjoyed that. That was charming and whimsical. This book seems like every story is kind of a winner.
Yeah, it's a lot of really, really good ones. And it's also, this book is really cool because it has a couple different ways of doing ethical storytelling. So it is categorized by, like, what type of story it is. So there's of fairies, elves, and goblins, sightings, fairy tribes, dealings between fairies, spells. And then there's notes where the author, Rosalind Curvin, lists all of the sources that she used, but she also goes through story by story and gives, like, a long version annotation for each of them. So that's where she talked about, like, the Cornish, Welsh, and Lancashirean from Lancashire, all those different iterations of the stories and stuff like that. So she talks about, like, variations upon and stuff like that, and it's very cool. It's a really cool book.
Fantastic.
This is also a book that's really good for, like, if you did want to read stories to kids. This is some of the ideas are a little bit, it would probably be like an early grade reader, not necessarily like a baby, but, like, she does maintain that, like, folkloric ethos of like giving the sources and everything like that, but she does it at the end of the book, so the story itself is, like, there's
unbroken.
Exactly, which is very cool.
That is so great. Yeah, again, I highly recommend this book as a gift if you want to give somebody a beautiful book full of fairy stories.
As someone who received it as a gift. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, that's me.
Let's take a quick break then.
Yeah.
And I'll come back with mine. Bye!
Okay, Janey.
Max. Okay. This story that I'm going to tell you is called The Hero Twins, and it's from a book called The Girl Who Helped Thunder and Other Native American Folk Tales. Now, as you know, I have spent a lot of time on this podcast bemoaning the fact that it's very hard to find a book of Native stories told by a Native person. It's weirdly hard when you're going on like popular book sites, right? It's not saying that they don't exist, but when you go, you have to search, you have to do research and search, because for the most part, you're getting non-Native people telling Native stories. And, people can do that as ethically as they can, but I would always rather have a book told by somebody of Indigenous descent, at least. So I found this, The Girl Who Helped Thunder and Other Native American Folktales, retold by James Bruchac and Joseph Bruchac, PhD. And I love them. They're Abenaki, I believe. They are of Abenaki descent, and they write a lot, both of them, they're father and son. Joseph is the father, James is the son, and both of them have prolific storytelling careers. Joseph Bruchac is a traveling storyteller. He has a doctorate in storytelling, and most of his books that he has written are Native stories. And his son, James, is a traveling storyteller who goes around to like schools and has for a very long time. He's also an animal tracker and a wilderness guide, and he's hot as hell, and I'm going to show you a picture of it. I was like, fuck, James Bruchac. Like, I went on his website and got flustered. Anyway.
Real quick, I had this book in my elementary school, I think.
You did?
Yeah, I recognize this illustration.
You might recognize this illustration style. This is the illustrator is Stefano Vitali, and he's Italian, and his illustration style is so recognizable. They're beautiful. I have a bunch of stuff about him later, too. Folk art, and he does a lot. He did an illustrated children's Bible, which I have a feeling, after we have talked multiple times about illustrated children's Bible, this might be the artist that you saw.
I think I'm like 60% sure that this is, because this, like, her face on the cover is specifically what I remember.
It's probably that.
It's possible.
But, like, this is the picture from the
illustration. Those are beautiful.
Aren't they gorgeous?
I love those colors.
I'm showing her pictures. I'm going to put these on the Instagram, but this is the, I wasn't going to do this until the end, but I'm very excited about Stefano Vitali. But he did the illustrated children's Bible, and this was one of the Adam and Eve one you could see. And I've seen this before. That's why I'm saying I think all of us have probably seen his stuff, because he's very prolific. I think this is Eros and Psyche, right?
Mm-hmm. I can see
then
that.
This is, this was the Broadway cover for Like Water for Chocolate.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And
I love that book so goddamn
much. And this is James Bruchac.
Pretty hot.
He was pretty hot. I mean, his fucking bicep is as big as my head. He's covered in tattoos, and he's older now, and so it's important when you look at him to remember that he's hot. Okay, so flustered.
Also, Like Water for Chocolate is an amazing magical realist short novel, and you should read it. You should just read it. Everyone should read it. It's one of my favorite books of all time. There's a movie. I would say read the book. The movie's fine, but the book is just viscerally beautiful.
Maybe we'll put that on a book list. Maybe we should have a little book club for the summer. Pick one book.
Yeah.
Okay, so the book is separated by region, and so you get to pick out, like, the regions and the tribes within that regions, and they are very ethical, and I'll talk about that at the end. But this one is a Navajo story. It's also important. I don't know how important, but they mention it at the beginning of their little notes of, like, their intro to the story, is that the Navajo call themselves the Dene people. I should probably check the pronunciation of that, but it just means people. They call themselves the people. And I'd have to start, too, with a quick creation myth from the Navajo, because the Navajo call our world, the earth, the glittering world, which I think is beautiful. And so this is the creation myth before I even begin the story. The locust came to our world first. I guess creatures were searching for a world to live in, and the locust came to this one, and it was covered in water that glittered in the light, and it was like magical, and also everything was white where it had landed. And so they call it the glittering world or the white world. And after locust came, all of the other beings followed. They called the place Hajine. My pronunciation's going to be garbage, but they call the place Hajine, and then the quote from the website I got this from, which is linked in the show notes, says, "Many people say this place is somewhere in the La Plata Mountains in Colorado." So there's a very specific location as to where the locust landed that is very important to Navajo people. So that's why they call it the glittering world. So here's how the story starts. And I'm going to start with their quote because I like the way it starts. Quote, "At the beginning of life here in the glittering world, a holy person called Changing Water had twin sons. Their names were Monster Slayer and Child Born of Water."
That's crazy because that's also what I'm going to name my two firstborn children.
Monster Slayer and Child Born of Water. The boys, they grew up in rough times. There were monsters everywhere in the world. These monsters just terrorized their people. They destroyed the land. And this was like normal to people. They were just used to living in complete fear. And one day, the two boys were out hunting, and they see a small hole in the ground, and it has smoke coming up out of it, almost like the top of a chimney. And as they're looking at this, they're inspecting it, they hear a small voice that invites them to come in, my children. And then they're like, oh, okay. So they lean in, and the hole grows larger, enough for them both to like go in, and then they find themselves in the very cozy home of Spider Woman. Not Spider-Woman, but Spider-Woman.
Mm-hmm.
She's an elder. She's a folklore character. She's a very important mythological figure. Spider-Woman asks them, "Grandchildren, what do you wish to know? Like, you found me because you were searching for something. I'll help you. Let me know." And they tell them, "We want to know who our father is because we want to slay these monsters, but we just have a feeling whoever our dad is, he's going to be able to help us do that. So can you tell us who our dad is?" And she says, "I know exactly who your dad is. You need to prepare yourself. Your dad is the sun."
Oh.
They're like, "No, we're the sons. We're looking for... Damn it." And they say, "What?" And she's like, "Yep, he's the sun himself. And I'll tell you everything I know." And so she says to get to their father would be no easy task. And so she feeds them cornmeal. And in Monster Slayer's bowl, she places a piece of turquoise. And in Child Born of Water's bowl, she places a piece of white shell. These were meant to make their hearts strong and give them courage that they needed to go on this journey. So after they eat, she gives them each a magic eagle feather, and she teaches them the chants that they need to know if they find themselves in need of an escape. And then she warns them that along the path to the sun, there are guardians that protect it, and that these guardians are going to attack them, as they had many others before them. The guardians' names are Reeds That Cut, Moving Sand, Canyon That Closes In, and Wash That Swallows.
Some of these I'm hearing as commands.
Beyond the path, there's a place called Darkness, and that's just beyond the place called Darkness, their father's house stands. And in front of his door, there are 4 more guardians that are guarding that. Like, there's a lot of traps along the way, a lot of people, guardians, making sure that nobody gets to them. These guardians' names were Giant Snake, Huge Black Bear, Big Thunder, and Big Wind.
So for this sounds a lot like Mortal Kombat.
It does. There's a lot of names.
A lot, like, I'm coming up with equivalencies in my head for each of these guardians and, like, Mortal Kombat characters. Like, this lines up too well, perhaps.
So, Spider-Woman, she teaches them the chants and the songs that they need to get past all of these guardians on the path and in front of the door. And so after she does all of this, they spend a long time trying to remember these chants. Now, remember, these are like full songs. Like, it's not easy. There's so many to learn. And so, but they do practice, they get really good at it, and then they set off on their adventure. And whenever they come to these dangers they had been warned about, they would recite the chants, and they would sing the songs that they had been taught. However, it's really unnerving because along the path, they start seeing more and more bones of men who tried and failed to reach the sun. And these bones are just littering the path that they walked on, and they're having to step over skulls. So they're getting more and more nervous. They're like,
Sure.
Oh shit, this might be a thing. And all's going well until they reach the canyon that closes in. And I thought of you specifically because I was like, this might be the place where Max falls to. The walls around them start to rush in towards them all at once, and things just start to fall down on top of them. And they're like, oh shit! And they get so frightened that they forget all of their chants. They're like, I can't remember a single song. Like, we're just going to be crushed to death as walls come in around us.
Yeah,
That's your nightmare.
Yeah, I'm getting contact anxiety from this.
Mine might be Wash That Swallows. I don't like water. Okay, but just in time, they remember that they're holding the magic eagle feathers that Spider-Woman had given them. They place them on the ground, they step on them, and they float away to safety.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. They get past the place called Darkness, and they see the 4 guardians at Sun's door. Giant snake, huge black bear, big thunder, and big wind. Huge black bear.
Huge black bear.
They bare their teeth, and they prepare to attack them. But the boys speak their names and recite their chants, and the guardians back off. They're like, okay, we're cool, we're cool. And they allow them to enter through the huge doorway into their father's home. But the adventure doesn't stop there, Max.
What?
And then the story just ends. The end.
And their dad is like, hello, children, I've been waiting. And they all hug, and then
They play ball.
they fly off into the sunset in a magic car.
They have a catch. Oh, and they sing that one song at the end of Grease. The one that's, like, full of gibberish. Okay. So the son is not home. He was at work being the son.
Sure.
However, his wife is at home. And they explain to her that the son is their father, and that they desperately need to see him. And she tells them, like, yeah, that's all well and good. He's not going to believe you're his kid, and he's definitely going to try to kill you. You need to get the fuck out of here. And they're like, we came so far, and we're kind of here on an important mission, so no, we're not going to leave. We would like to talk to him. And so she's like, okay, so she hides them as best she can. She wraps Monster Slayer in a blue cloud, and she wraps Child Born of Water in a black cloud. It's weird because I always expect the blue one, like turquoise and blue, to be Child Born of Water, but they attribute that to Monster Slayer. Yeah. When the son returns at the end of the day, he asks his wife where the 2 men were who he had seen entering the house. She lied, because he was the son. He could see everything. He's like, I saw 2 guys go in there. Where are they? And she lies. She says, no one's in the house. And he's like, again, I'm the son. I know somebody's here. Where are they? And so she tells them, like, all right, their names are Monster Slayer and Child Born of Water. They'd come to find their father, and they think that you're him. So the son looks around, and he finally finds them. And just as the wife said, he doesn't believe them. He's like, I don't have any kids. Sorry. Everybody's over here trying to claim to be the sons of the sun. Guess what?
Sons.
They're trying to be the sons? Nah, man. Not mine. So he decides to test them. He gets out a little Q-tip, and he swabs their mouths, right? And he sends that to a lab. Then they go on Jerry Springer. And Jerry Springer says, you are the father! And then everybody gets into a fist fight. It was riveting. The end.
Wow.
Yeah. No, he decides to test them. If these were truly not his sons, these tests would kill him and get them out of his hair. And at this point, I'm like, they had a lot of faith in Spider-Woman, because she just randomly sucked him into a hole in the ground and said, your dad's the son. And now they're willing to die with this knowledge. And so, the first test. The sun places them in a sweat lodge that is so hot no human can survive it. But the boys were just fine. And I also think that I would be just fine in this, because I sleep in a sweat lodge that is so hot that no human can survive it. It has to be at least 82 degrees in my room, or I will freeze to death in the middle of the night.
It's sickening.
I have a little fireplace in there pointed at my bed, and it just roasts me all night long. And I have 4 blankets that cover me, and I wear socks and full pajamas.
While you were out of town, I just turned the heat in the house off. And I woke up one morning and I was like, I stretched and I was like, God, I feel so good. I was like, I haven't slept that well in so long. I feel amazing. And I came out here and I was like, oh, it's a little chilly. And I'm usually wearing like a t-shirt and shorts because it's so fucking hot in this house all the time. And I came out and I was like, oh, it's nice and chilly. That's nice. And I like put on like a little robe. And like, I was just sitting here and I was like, God, I feel so comfortable. And then Alex came out and was like, it's really nice in the house
you guys
today.
Can go to hell.
We're just and then we checked, and it was 61 degrees in the house. And we were like,
oh my God. Max and I are the heat miser and the cold miser. Fuck, no, that's horrific. I didn't like that story. Okay, so this test of the sweat lodge, it made sense for children of the sun, right? It's heat-based. The next couple tests aren't as nuanced, I would say. He gives them cornmeal that is poisoned. They don't die. He's like, damn it.
Poison for my 2 sons. Poison.
Poison for my sons. And then he picks them up and he throws them against a wall of flint knives. And they don't die. And I'm like, the first one made so much sense. The next one, you just throw them against a wall of knives? Anyway.
After you've already poisoned them?
I said they are completely unharmed, but probably a little alarmed. Finally, the son tells them, All right, I recognize you as my sons. He bathes them in a white bead basket, which again, they're old. They're too old to be bathed by their father. He bathes them in a white bead basket, a turquoise basket, a basket of white shell, and a basket of black obsidian. Again, we have the turquoise and the white shell, you know.
Yeah.
This is a quote, he reshaped their bodies.
Oh.
Gave them a little massage. And
he made them sexy.
Yeah, now they're hot. And then he gives them clothes that shined almost as bright as his own did. And then he took them around his house and he told them they could have anything they wanted. And the goods included an entire, like, giant field of corn and precious stones and, like, all these amazing things. And Child Born of Water is like, yeah, we're gonna want all of this later. We're gonna come back and rob you blind. All right? And Monster Slayer is like, hi, except for now, we are here to slay monsters. Child Born of Water is like, oh, yeah. But if any other sons come, please don't give away that field of corn. Dibs. And so Monster Slayer sees that there's a weapon hanging above Sun's door. A weapon that looks like a bow and arrow, but was really lightning. And he's like, I want that. That, please. One lightning for Monster Slayer. And then he gives little grabby hands. And so Sun asks them, like, well, what are you going to do with it? And Child Born of Water is like, we're going to use it to kill the monsters. Duh.
Dad, it's literally in my name.
That's Child Born of Water. He had to get back on board.
Slayer.
Monster Slayer is like, I don't know, maybe I'll just, like, use it as decoration. Come on. So Sun...
Maybe I'll use it to give a monster a nice massage. I don't know.
Maybe I'll reshape their bodies. By the way, I've never felt better. So Sun is reluctant to give them the weapon because it's extremely powerful, but eventually he agrees. He dressed Monster Slayer in a suit of dark flint and gave him lightning that strikes crooked. All these outfit changes. I mean, they're just like, they've only been there for like an hour.
I love it.
Yeah. So he gives them a lightning that strikes crooked. And then he dressed Child Born of Water in a suit made of blue flint. Finally, blue. And he gives him lightning that strikes straight, which I would rather have that lightning. Why would you want that one that strikes crooked?
Is it like chess?
Diagonally? Well, I think it's just like, I think it's just how bolts of lightning, like, you know, are like crooked zigzags. Yeah. Except for Child Born of Water just has one big laser. I have no idea. So he tells them that the first monster they would encounter is Yetso, the walking giant. And here's a note. I looked, there's a website called Book of Creatures, which I've linked in the show notes. And this is what they say. Quote, Yetso, big monster, was the greatest, the most feared, and the largest of the Anaye, or the alien gods.
What?
Yeah, who were the bane of the Navajo. The giant met his end at the hands of the hero twins Naya Nezgani and Tobad Tsitsini. He was either an oldest son of the sun god Sohanoi, so he could have been their brother, or was born as the result of an unnatural practice by a frustrated Navajo woman. In the latter case, his father was a rock.
Sure.
Let's not go into it.
Romancing the Stone.
So that's the... Woo! So, it was very quick.
Thanks.
Okay, so that's Yetso. So, the son tells them that when they meet Yetso, they were to let him fire 4 arrows first before raising theirs against them, because he was their elder and it was his right to strike first. And after they had destroyed him, they were to bring back the tail feathers from his headdress. So the boys set out, and just as predicted, they come across this giant monster. He tried to kill them with those 4 arrows, but they used the magic eagle feathers to fly out of harm's way. Then they killed him with lightning. His body fell, and the earth shook, like everywhere just like rattled and shook. His blood came out like lava. They took the feathers and they gave them to the sun, and they returned home to their mother, Changing Woman. And they told her all about what they had done.
And she said, get out, I'm changing.
And they're like, us too, constantly now.
We have so many clothes now, Mom.
Look at all these outfits. So they tell her like all about their day, and they promise that they're going to get rid of the other monsters, and that is just what they did. So this is a quote of all of the monsters they killed. They killed... They killed he who kicks them off cliffs. Horned monster, monster bird, eyes that kill, and many others. All laser eyes. They did not kill.
I Actually, my name for him is Old Stank Eye.
Old stink eye. He can kill you with one withering glare.
If looks could kill, am I right?
Man, withering eye is gonna get you. So they did not kill hunger, because people are supposed to want to try new things always. They did not kill poverty, because poverty reminds people to be humble. And they put, sure, thanks. I love being humble. Yum, 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 yum. I can eat that for dinner. Oh, wait, nugget!
I love that the ones that they did kill are like, snake made of swords.
It's like, guy who punts people off of mountains.
But they're like, oh, systemic cruelty to the lower class?
They did not kill racism.
That's above our pay grade.
They left police brutality. What?
Honestly, I would rather have snake made of swords.
I want snake made of swords.
Poverty.
At this point, I feel like he would have found a way to work with us against police brutality.
I think that I could be, you know, the twins who like sing to Mothra?
Yeah.
I would be those twins to snake made of swords.
There would be whole religions just based around worshipping snake made of swords.
Yeah, I would be the official religious liaison between the rest of humankind and snake made of swords.
Yeah. They didn't kill sleep because people need to rest and recharge. And they didn't kill old age. And this is a quote, because there must always be room for the new people being born. And the story ends with the line, so it happened long ago, and so things are to this day. Yeah. So these stories, again, native author, beautiful illustrations. They are sectioned out by region and they give credit to the tribes, but not just that, because most stories, I would say, I was expecting them to stop there. I was expecting them to be like, this is a Navajo story, and then that was the only sources we get. No. Not with Joseph and his hot son James. Not on their watch. In the back, there is a whole list of sources. And so for this story, I'm just going to read their sources. No Dene story has been told and retold more often than this one. We have heard this story told many times by such Navajo tellers as Geraldine Keams, who has a fine audio tape of the story called Sacred Twins and the Spider Woman. There are dozens of printed versions. One of the best can be found in Navajo History, edited by Ethel Yazzie and published by Rough Rock Press in 1971. So that's where you can find this particular story if you don't want to read their version. But it's written very well. There's also something where it's written also the way that Native elders speak. So it's like short sentences. Like there's no like long flowery words like they're out there. Like where I see like most writers, I say like write really long, you know, beautiful sentences. These ones are like, it's just the way Native elders speak, you know, and it's very comforting to hear it. It's very, like, final, like, the sentences they're giving off. The way that they present the names are just very matter-of-fact, and I really appreciated that. It's just an extra little attention to detail that you get from these authors. So
I love it.
Yeah! And this is linked in our show notes. And again, it's such a beautiful little book, and it's another one that I think that you should add to your bookshelves. And if you're looking for gifts to give, this is a really good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with that, I think we might be done.
Yeah.
A short little baby episode for episode
babies.
60. Guys, if you liked this and you've enjoyed listening to 60 episodes, which is 120 stories.
That's 100. Well,
almost. We did like one or two. I mean, at least 115 stories.
Yeah.
If you liked it, leave us a review. Preferably 5 stars. You know, join the Discord and, you know, give us some shout out for Keith. Where is that guy? We just keep getting dead animals on our doorstep. But you know what? It lets us know that he cares.
Yeah, they're presents.
Yeah.
Thanks, Keith.
Right? Yeah.
I hope so.
Let us know in the comments, Keith. Cool. And guys, have a great fucking day.
Bye.
Bye. I only play Beat Saber to beat Lauren's scores.
Sure.
That's what keeps me motivated. It's what gives me the drive. It's how I get my gains. I have to beat Lauren.
Gotta get those gains.
I gotta get those gains, girl. Anyway, and I did today. And that's what it's like being friends with Janey. This fun game that we're all playing, false. I'm the winner.
Wow. We're all so impressed.
Oh my god, thank you.